Welcome, everybody. I am Gail Schorsch, and welcome to Bronx Eats. I'm the founder and director of Bronx Eats, and I'm really so pleased that you've chosen to spend part of your evening with us tonight. A big thank you to Giselle Payne, who organized this 4-week series and will be leading the chat after class tonight. So please stick around for that. It really is so nice to see everybody, some new faces and some regulars taking part in this class. And the community is growing and coming back, and we really welcome all of you. So food is a great reason to get together, and Bronx Eats is here to offer you healthy, traditional, plant-based foods that you know and love, and also to introduce you to some dishes that you may not have thought to try. It's a safe place to meet, to learn and connect with each other around food and cooking, a shared community gathering place where we can start to find our footing again in this new world while still living with the harsh reality of COVID. And tonight we are having a chat after class with Giselle Payne. Giselle is a Bronx Eats intern and earning a master's in public health. And in addition to our wonderful presenter, Chef Deborah Johnson, whom I'm going to introduce in a minute, we invite you to stay after class tonight to chat with Giselle, who has kindly offered to host a discussion about health, COVID, food, nutrition, and anything else that's on your mind right now. So lastly, when we come together for events like this, we send a message to ourselves and others that our health matters to us, that we value our time together in community, and that we value our local cooks and chefs, and that we're going to take care of ourselves on a personal and community level. So thank you for showing up for yourselves and for this community. A few housekeeping notes. We are recording this presentation. You may ask questions directly, or if you prefer to use the chat box to ask your questions, that's totally fine. Also, it really makes it more personal and connected if you turn your video on. Your presence is definitely important to us, and it makes it feel more like a community and a family when you have it on. So this is a class, but it's also a chance to share with and learn from each other face to face. So please turn your videos on if possible. Now let me introduce Chef Deborah Johnson, who we are so honored to have here tonight. Deborah Johnson is a plant-based community nutritionist who holds a Master of Science degree in nutrition. She founded My Temple Wellness in 2018, which is a holistic wellness company whose mission is to educate, alleviate, and eliminate the potential health risks among vulnerable populations through nutrition education and wellness principles. Deborah is also certified in nutritional psychology, an emerging area that examines the strong connections between our diet and nutrition and our mood, behavior, and overall mental health. Deborah is also a mental health first aid instructor. She is currently a consultant for the Riverdale Senior Services and Northwest Bronx Food Justice Coalition Project as the community health nutrition educator. Deborah is a board member of the Steering and Envisioning Committee for New York City Nutrition Education Network, an organization dedicated to educating and supporting a network of members who seek to improve the food and nutrition environment for a healthier New York City. Previously, Deborah served as a director of health and wellness at the Harlem Church, New York City. She also taught nutrition education at the Mott Hall Middle School in Harlem and is committed to helping people make lasting changes by adopting healthy habits for life. She believes that when individuals, families, and communities are empowered with nutrition literacy and wellness principles, they are more likely to make healthier decisions, to increase their lifespan, and live quality lives. Her goal is to improve the knowledge, attitudes, behaviors, and health outcomes of the communities she serves through nutrition literacy. If you want to learn more about our amazing presenter, you can look up mytemplewellness.com. And without further ado, I would like to introduce Deborah Johnson. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Gail. Thank you, Giselle. I'm so honored to be out here with you all this afternoon. I'm grateful that you guys have decided to spend your afternoon with us. I'm excited about the recipe that I'm going to share with you. It's a recipe that I've actually been holding near and dear to my heart. Someone asked me for this recipe some years ago, and I actually said no because it was my mom who gave me this recipe, and I felt like the uniqueness of it was something I didn't want to share. So I'm excited to share with you guys. I've since let up and decided, I should share the wealth with everybody. And so this afternoon, I'm going to be sharing this wonderful recipe with you. It's a recipe that I love. whenever I make this sweet potato pudding, Jamaican sweet potato pudding, it doesn't last in my house, right? So I have a husband and I have a 17-year-old, and I'll make the pudding in the morning and by night it's finished. Now I do have some as well myself, but it's really delicious. I make it with love. And so I'm going to try to show you my way. Obviously, you're going to take this recipe, make it your own. You know, I've actually shifted it just a little bit from what my mom showed me. I have a story with raisins that I'll share with you in a little bit. But yeah, so I'm excited that you guys are all out here with us this afternoon. I'm going to share a little bit as I go about most of the items, but my focus is going to be this bad boy right here. So this is the main event. This is the star of our show. This is a sweet potato. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the sweet potato is really very good for you. So I'll share a little bit of the benefits. I'm probably going to give you 5 or so health benefits because there's so many, and I don't want to spend my whole evening just going over health benefits of sweet potato, but I'll give you the main ones that I think are great. And I'll also talk a little bit about coconut, because coconut is another amazing fruit that I love and that I use a lot as a Jamaican person. It's a part of my culture, and so I use this a lot in making rice and beans and things like that. And we're going to use that today. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get to a recipe at the end, a surprise recipe, another Jamaican edition that I'll hopefully get to this evening that you guys will get to try out at home. Now, everything that I'm preparing here today is vegan. I'm a whole food plant-based, as Gail mentioned, nutritionist. That's my thing. I preach plants. I'm always talking about plants. People are sick of me and plants. It's all about plants for me because plants have been healing me. I changed my diet about 5 years ago after suffering with fibroids. I decided to make a shift and go plant-based. And so that's what I've been doing. And so that's the main reason why I'm doing that. So without further ado, I want to get into the ingredients that we have here today. The recipe, I do want to point out that there's a slight error that will correct, and that's my fault. The flour should be 1.75 cups, and I have only 3/4 on there. So it really should be 1.75 cups, and you can even go to 2 cups, technically, if you really like. All right, so I cook very casually. I'm not one of those sort of like I'm structured, yes, but you're in my kitchen. So we're just gonna hang out, we're gonna have fun. Please feel free, as Gail said, ask questions, make comments, whatever it is. I will do my best to answer. If I don't know the answer, I'll let you know, and I'll always get back to you if it's something that I need to research or something along those lines. All right, so let's jump right.
Say that people can go to Deborah's picture, and on the top right corner, if you click on the 3 dots and pin her, she will appear larger on your screen, and that way you can enjoy everything she's about to do.
All right, cool. So sweet potato, this is, as I said before, our main dish, our main item that we're going to be using today. And when it comes to sweet potatoes, you can actually use sweet potatoes in several different ways. Obviously, we're going to be using it today. And it was so funny when Giselle called and said, hey, we'd like for you to use a vegetable to make a dessert. And I'm like, a vegetable to make a dessert? Like my mind just started going and going. And after a few minutes of talking with her, I was like, you know what? I got something. And so sweet potato, unassuming, a lot of people don't think that you can actually use it to make a dessert. Like I said, that's what we're going to be doing today. So the sweet potato is excellent. You can roast it also. So sometimes I just wash it and I put it in the oven just like this, right? Scrub it really well. And then I slice it and I eat the skin, right? And so that's really good. You could also boil it. I tend to add it in my lentil soup. So if I'm doing lentils, I'll throw some of that in there. And of course, you can make sweet potato fries where you just chop them up, put some herbs and spices and throw it in the oven. And that's another great way to enjoy sweet potato. There's purple sweet potato. I don't know if you've ever seen the purple sweet potato. This is supposed to be one of the better options. This is Japanese sweet potato. So there's a couple of versions of them. So I just wanted to sort of highlight that. This is the one that we use. So I wouldn't recommend using the purple one. I want to make the distinction that this particular potato, when you peel it, it's white on the outside. So it's going to look like this, okay? There's another sweet potato, which I think most folks refer to this as yams. But for me, I refer to it as sweet potato because it really is sweet potato, but some people may say yams, all right? So just be mindful of that. So there's the other one I don't have here because I actually don't like it. It's the orange one. If you're familiar, when you cut it open, it's orange. When you cook it, it's orange on the inside. That's not the one that we're using for this particular recipe. So if you do choose to use that, you might have a different flavor, different taste, obviously, all right? So we're going to be using, as I said, sweet potato. We're going to be using coconut. And the coconut we have here is fresh coconut, right? So I've actually gone, and this is what it looked like before. This is a before photo of it. And you basically just crack it open. Now, I cheated a little bit. So the store that I went to, they had both. So I was like, I'll get this one to show you guys what it looks like. And I'll ask my husband to bust this thing open because I surely can't. But you basically would need a hammer. You would take it over your sink and just go at it, all right? But I recommend, let the muscle in your house do it. I mean, women, we could do everything, but you know what? If you have a man, let him do it. All right. So this is our coconut that we're going to be using. I like to bring it up close and personal so you can see. I also have some ginger, fresh ginger. You'll notice that I use a lot of fresh ingredients. I also have everything like nutmeg and things like that. I have the powdered option, but for this particular recipe, just based on how my mom taught it to me, she used all the original, from the earth, from the trees. That's what we have. And that's what I'm going to be using this afternoon in our recipe. All right. So we have our coconut, which I just talked about, ginger. And then we have all our dried ingredients. And our dry ingredients include things like brown sugar or coconut sugar. I like the coconut sugar. Now, there's not such a huge difference with the coconut sugar. The main difference is that the glycemic index is a little bit lower when it comes to the coconut sugar. And so that's why I personally like to use it. So for people who might be concerned with, diabetes or high blood pressure, those things, you might want to choose this. Obviously, sugar in moderation, right? So I'm not promoting sugar. I'm not promoting coconut sugar or brown sugar. I'm just saying that if you had to choose, you want to choose the coconut sugar. We also have some cornmeal here, and that's going to be going in. We have optional, which I didn't put on the recipe, baking powder. So you can add that. We also have the nutmeg. Now, these are the nutmeg whole, right? And when I was in the Caribbean, and I was living in Jamaica, they have the nutmeg trees. And it's so amazing to see the nutmeg trees. If you ever go to the Caribbean and you're in sort of like a farming area, try to observe the nutmeg tree. It's beautiful. Cinnamon, we have salt. Those are the dry ingredients. And of course, some flour. If you do want to know what type of flour I use, please feel free to ask any of these different brands or whatever. I'm not promoting any brand. I do shop a lot at Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. Those are the two places that I tend to shop. But I also shop at the store down the street because when I need something, I go where I gotta go. Like for example, in my community, I have access to sort of like supermarkets that are Caribbean style supermarkets. So that's where I got my coconut. If you went into certain supermarkets, you're not gonna find that, right? All right, guys, so let's get into preparing this. I hope I've covered everything that's in the recipe. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to ask them and I will answer as we go. But if not, I'm going to jump right in. And so I'm going to bring my camera just a little bit closer here. And now
Deborah, there is a question about whether you're using yellow cornmeal or white cornmeal.
I use a yellow cornmeal. I tend to stay away from white flour, white sugar. I don't know enough about the white cornmeal just to recommend it or not, but the yellow one is the one that I'm using. And that's probably would be my preferred, just because I stay away from anything that's like, the white flour, more refined, more processing and things that are where the color is stripped away. It's more processed.
Yes, and so can I just ask also, you mentioned using fresh herbs. Is that, can you talk a little bit about why that's nutritionally awesome?
Well, using fresh herbs is obviously like eating fresh fruits and vegetables, right? Because if it's sitting for too long, they tend to become stale. So I like, for example, when it comes to the fresh nutmeg, just grating it, I'm getting it like, I'm getting all the nutrients, I would say at that point, versus it's sitting in the supermarket. And this one I ran out, so I had to go and I had no choice. I had to grab this one. But I think that over time, with it just sitting in the bottle there, I can't say that it goes stale, but I prefer to have like a whole nutmeg. If I have an option, I would choose that. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. I think that fresh is always better. It doesn't mean that you can't use the dry stuff, but nutritionally, I agree. I think that, the more you can eat fresh, the more your body will be happy.
Yeah, I think our body loves that. Our body thrives on anything that's fresh. I buy even beets. Like if I have beets, I get it with the stems on it and I blend the stems or the leaves and all of that. So depends on your preference and your choice, but that's what I tend to do and what I tend to recommend to people as well. Eat as much plants as you can. You're gonna hear me say that all night. All right, guys, so I'm gonna move my camera over just a little bit. All right, you guys know how it is, New York City style. Nutritionists are becoming videographers, right? We are just all arounders. So, all right, let's get into it. I'm gonna try to tilt my camera so you can see as much as possible here. So you'll mostly see my hands in action here. All right, guys, so we have our sweet potato, okay? I'll try to be in the shot if I can. We have our sweet potato, and normally you need about 2 pounds, which I mentioned in the recipe. So here we go. We're gonna basically just peel the potato, okay? And some people use I forgot what that thing is called, but I like to just use my knife and just peel away. So does anybody use sweet potato to make any dessert or of any kind?
Nobody's made a dessert with sweet potato. They're going to be ready for your recipe even more than you realized.
Yeah. And the good thing about this is that it's in terms of the health benefits and the health factor, everything that we're using here today is really great for the body. Right? So it's all natural. It's all good for the body.
So there's a question about whether you can substitute polenta for the cornmeal.
Oh yeah. Yeah, most definitely.
So I can answer the question. I grew up eating sweet potatoes at Thanksgiving with marshmallows on top. I don't really recommend that as the healthiest option, but that was sort of the traditional dish at my Thanksgiving. So that kind of counts as a dessert.
Yeah, it does. Because sweet potato, that's the thing that I love about it. The sweetness, right? And it's natural. It's like having sweet plantains, which is another part of my Jamaican culture. That's another great dessert. So like, I'll just like cook some sweet plantains and that's my dessert instead of having something that's processed. These are some of the things that you want to try, right? So basically we're just trying to get these to go into our blender or food processor, whatever you have, or NutriBullet, right? That's sort of like the first step that I like to do.
Someone asked, can you use polenta?
Huh?
Sorry, someone asked, can you use polenta? I'm assuming that was for the cornmeal.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, polenta, I think, is probably just larger granules, if I'm not mistaken. I consider it almost the same thing.
Myra is saying sweet potatoes with coconut candy, sweet potatoes as mashed sweet potatoes. Ate them. And somebody else was saying they ate them with rice and beans.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I enjoy sweet potatoes. So sweet potato is good because it has, so let's talk about some of the health benefits.
Wait, one moment. How many servings does this recipe make? Stella is asking.
If you're living in my house, 3 servings. I would say about 8 servings, 8 to 10 servings, but again, it never lasts. I actually have a girlfriend who found out that I'm making this. I posted on social media and she sent me a text and she's like, hey, sweet potato pudding is being baked, I heard. What time will it be ready? So yeah, we basically just cut this all up. Now, there's another way to do this, right? So there's 2 different ways to prepare this same dish that I'm doing. The old school way, the way that I've done it with my mom, the way my mom taught me. And it's funny because when my mom would make this for us all the time, right? It was like a tradition. She makes a couple of different cakes, but this is the one that I love the most. And I remember saying to her, like, you have to teach me how to make this. And she's like, but I love making it for you. And I was like, no, I need to know how to make it because I want to make this on demand. At the time, she was living in Georgia and I couldn't access her as I normally would when she lived in New York. So I happened to be in Georgia visiting. My sister also lives there. And I was like, Mom, today is the day. So we got all the ingredients together and I had her in the kitchen and she just went through very slowly. And she's like, okay, Debbie, she calls me Debbie. And she just showed me step by step. So I want to encourage mothers and daughters out there to cook together. I know that it happens a lot, but get those recipes. Because I feel like with my mom, getting this recipe is really important to me. I want to keep this recipe forever. And I want to hand it down should I ever have a girl. Or even my son. I want to hand this recipe down because it's like, I don't want to lose that tradition. You know what I mean? And so that's why I wanted to get her recipe because there's recipes online. But I wanted hers. I wanted to see how she put it together. So
yeah, keep it in the family tradition. That sounds great.
Yeah, I think it's important to keep some of the old traditions, like share your recipes with whomever in your family is interested in learning how to do that, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I love. But yeah, potatoes have fiber. It's high in fiber, which is great for the gut, right? We know our digestive system requires you know, good fiber, right? So that we can have good functioning colon. So I recommend enjoying sweet potatoes, you know, probably if you're not going to put it in the pudding, for example, just roast it whole and enjoy it that way. It's very good.
Deborah, there's a question about whether you use the peels for anything.
No, the only time I use the peels is if I'm cooking it, like I may cook it in the skin and eat the skin. But if I just peel it, I just end up discarding it. I never really keep that, you know, so, but yeah, it's good for fiber, high in antioxidant, has a lot of vitamin C as well. And so that's really great because antioxidant is great for the body, as you know. Okay, so now I'm going to continue to introduce health benefits as we go, guys. All right, so let's move these dry ingredients out of the way for now. And let's get into the coconut. So we have the coconut here, and what we're going to basically be doing with the coconut is we're going to be trying to extract the juice. So obviously, guys, if you want, and I've seen people do this, I've seen Jamaicans do this, and I'm actually like, really? Okay, well, no judgment, but so you can actually go and get the coconut milk if you like, right? You can use the coconut milk in the can. It is 2 cups, which is great. So if you wanted to use a can, you could do that. However, I do want to highly recommend that you be mindful of the cans and you want to look for this. I've been telling everybody I know, you want to look for the non-BPA lining, right? I'm assuming that now they've taken it out of all cans, but just for me to be sure, I look for the cans that say non-BPA lining, all right? Because BPA is a harmful chemical that you don't want in your body, all right? So just be mindful. If you're using canned, whether it's canned coconut milk or canned beans, just try to get the non-BPA lining, all right? So now what we're gonna be doing is this is my blender that I'm gonna be using for today. And so we have our coconut. I'm gonna basically extract the juice myself. And I'm doing that for a specific reason that I'll share in a second. So what I'll do now is I'm gonna get some water. So I'm gonna use about 2.5 cups of water in my blender or NutriBullet, whatever you have, or food processor. It's up to you, whichever one you wanna use. So that's 2 cups, and we're gonna do a half because I have just a little bit more than 2 pounds of sweet potato here. So that's just for good measure, all right? So now we have our coconut. We're just gonna cut them in semi-small pieces, right? Just don't put them in as bulky as this. Just wanna cut them just a little bit smaller.
So if you're using the canned version, you would put in the whole can?
Yeah.
No comí mango. Sí, yo comiste el otro. En la nevera yo creo que hay uno todavía. No. ¿O te lo comiste también?
Let me mute everybody. If you want to ask Deborah a question, please unmute yourself, but I just needed to mute people for a minute. So you'd use a whole can if you're using, and Deborah, you have to unmute yourself now. You'll use a whole can if you're using the canned version, and if you're using the real stuff, then you're going to follow the recipe, right?
Yeah,
the
basically.
Calls for
Yeah.
how much coconut again?
So this is one whole coconut. And if you go to the store and you can't find it sort of like already cut like this, you're basically going to just have this option, as I mentioned before, this particular coconut, because they have a different options, right? They have the green one. This is the dried coconut. So just want to point that out.
One will work for the recipe, or?
Yeah. Yeah, I generally use one unless I'm making a big old pudding for the whole family. But
That's
this size,
good to know, because you said sometimes you can't find fresh coconut in certain parts of the Bronx and certain parts, you know, wherever people are living. And so it's good to know that the canned option is always an option.
Yeah, the canned option is an option. I will be honest, I have never used it for my pudding, so I don't know how it would turn out. I use it normally if I'm doing like a curry chickpea, or if I'm doing some type of coconut rice or something like that. So yeah, I've never used it in a pudding, so I can't swear by the flavor, but I've seen Jamaican people use the can. So again, no judgment on any of them. All right, so now we're going to basically try to get as much juice out of this as we can. And so I'm going to mute myself because it's going to sound a little bit loud, so forgive me for a second here.
So while Deborah is muted, I'm going to put some information in the chat box, because Deborah's going to be presenting the winning dish at the first ever plant-based competition. And Deborah's going to be one of the chefs on June 19th, presenting the following dish. June 19th, curry chickpeas and kale stew with coconut brown rice. Deborah will be there. Come to the Bronx Night Market. I will certainly be sending out more information, but it'll be a fun chance to taste some of Deborah's cooking live and in person. It'll be a really fun event.
Can you tell me more about the Bronx Night Market?
Yeah, I mean, the Bronx Night Market is not Bronx Eats. There were two separate organizations, but we've been partnering, and we just are launching this really exciting pilot project this summer. And that is going to be, we had a recipe contest, and we have two winners of that recipe contest. And each recipe that won, the person's going to receive a prize. And we have chefs like Deborah coming to prepare that recipe, and we're going to have tasters of the winning recipes. So it's just going to be a really nice opportunity for people to come out in the summer evening, taste amazing food, learn a new recipe, and that kind of thing. The Bronx Night Market is located, if you guys don't know, at Fordham Plaza during the summer months on Saturday night. And it's just a really fantastic kind of food festival. And if you don't know about it, you can definitely look it up. I don't know the exact hours of operation, but June 19th and July 21st, Bronx Eats will be there to provide tasters and get you excited about some of the recipes that we've been cooking together.
Okay, I just have to grab my recipe. So I'm currently grating some ginger. I just wanted to go ahead and start doing that. So again, fresh ginger, obviously you can use the powdered ginger, which is also very good. It's concentrated, highly concentrated, but I love, again, all the fresh ingredients. I enjoy using them. All right, so basically you want to use this side of the blender, not blender, grater, and to get your, what is it? I think I said 1 tablespoon. Yeah, 1 teaspoon rather. So 1 teaspoon, but again, listen, when I'm cooking, just be transparent with you guys. When I'm cooking, I cook from the heart, from the soul. If a little bit of extra ginger gets in there, it's not going to hurt anybody, right? I love ginger. It actually adds a little more depth to the thing. I love cooking recipe as it is, but I also adjust as I go as well. So feel free to do that. Have fun. There are no rules in cooking, in my book at least. So we have our fresh ginger. Let's get back to the coconut, right? So our coconut I've blended, and I took only, I would say less than a minute to just sort of get it to this consistency here, right? And you're gonna need one of these right? A sift or strainer, whatever you call it. Okay, hopefully you can see. And basically, we're just gonna pour everything out. You can see the milk, right? And so what I'm gonna do now is just basically use my hands and squeeze everything out, as much of the juice as I can. And I'm keeping what we call the trash. So I'm keeping the trash, and I'll show you what I do with the trash in a second. So yeah, coconut, again, another something great that you can add in your diet. There's a lot of controversy around coconut oil and all of that. And I actually do use coconut oil, but not as often. I prefer avocado oil is what I use, especially if I'm frying something. Is for me the better option, the healthier option. But there's been a lot of controversy around coconut. And so it's a tough one to call. But I think anything that's fresh like this is going to be good, right? And again, things in moderation. You don't want to ever overdo it, okay? So we have our coconut milk, okay? Amazing.
So Alvaline asked where the contest is going to be. The contest already happened. We have 2 winners, and the presentation and the tasters and the chef demonstrations are going to be at the Bronx Night Market, which is located at Fordham Plaza. Definitely encourage you to look that up. It's a fun place to go in the summer on Saturdays. So if you don't know about it, you can look that up. I'll put it in the chat box. And I've been, really excited to be able to partner with them. And I really hope you'll come out for that. It's going to be, twice this summer. And then hopefully, if you guys love it, we'll continue going forward.
Okay, so right now what I'm basically doing is, and sometimes what you can do with this pudding, right? If you want to go really old school, which I do, but I'm trying to show you guys somewhat of the easier way, and maybe you'll consider the option I'm going to tell you about easier. I usually just grate these as well. So the potatoes, I usually just hand grate them, right? And so that's another really good way of doing it. But a lot of people, in terms of time and all of that, to sit there and to grate all of that 2 pound of sweet potato, it's just a lot of time consuming. So once you have your coconut milk, you're going to then put about a half portion of the potato with the milk, okay? Coconut milk. And we're going to basically just try to blend that up. And you don't want to make it too purified, right? Or too pureed, rather. I'm going to put you on mute again.
Whilst Deborah is blending that, we do have a survey that you guys can take just to give feedback for this presentation and this demonstration. We greatly appreciate if everyone could complete it. I am sending the link in the chat box now.
Thank you so much, Giselle. It's very short and it's anonymous. So if you could just take, 30 seconds to fill it out, we would be really grateful to you. And Deborah, you're muted again. Oh, is that because you're blending? I'm wondering if anybody's cooking along. Some people are not on video, and maybe that's just because you're shy or don't want to be on camera, but maybe if you are cooking along, can you let us know? Patricia, it looks like you're doing something over there. Are you cooking this recipe or doing something else? But yeah, she's cooking along. Okay, excellent. We want to see at the end, right, Deborah? We want to see anybody who's made this, and please share it with us. Giselle is nodding vigorously. She'd like to be able to post it on social media. So please definitely share it. Okay, Patricia, we would love to see the results.
Yes, I love to see you guys' rendition of the recipe. And we repost it on our Instagram and Facebook. So definitely send in your pictures if you are recreating this recipe to Gail so we can see it.
Oh, I made it already, but I have to say half the instructions were cut off. So I did what I thought, and it's not the same. I used canned coconut. I cooked the potatoes before I mashed them. So it's it's completely different dish I made.
Why was your recipe cut off?
Just the printing.
Oh, the way it printed out. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Did I
living.
hear you cooked the potatoes?
It's what?
Did someone say they cooked the potatoes?
Cook the potato because it said blend, and I said, how could you blend the hard?
Oh my God, I'm
coconut?
so
I cooked
sorry.
it first.
But actually, Charmaine, that's a great story because that means that it's really important and wonderful that you're here in class tonight because
Yes, that's why I
next time
came.
you try that, it's going to come out amazing. And you'll be
Does
so-
it taste good though?
Tastes good. Here it
Oh,
is.
you made it.
Okay. Ooh.
Oh, so you can enjoy it. It just wasn't the same consistency.
Recipe
Mm-hmm.
different.
I'm sorry, Charmaine.
That's why I decided to come on.
I'll say this.
That's a great advertisement for Bronx Eats, right? You gotta come on, or you won't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So
And also because, you end up sometimes getting surprise recipes.
definitely. Deborah,
Yeah.
are you still gonna surprise us with that recipe? Or are we gonna run out of time?
I think I might be good because the surprise is that I'm like Rachel Ray. Rachel Ray will have her stuff pre-cooked and ready to show you a ready version. So we're gonna have our cake. We're just putting it all together, but I'll be ready to show you obviously a already done version. So this was the hardest part. I want to show you the consistency. We're mostly there. So this is the consistency of just the potato, which is these are the wet ingredients, right? So this is the potato and the coconut milk. Okay, so that's what that is. Now we're going to, before we do the dry ingredients, let's finish all the wet stuff. So what I do, because I love coconut, I throw back some of what we call the trash into the mixture. Okay, so we're gonna take just a handful and we're gonna just go ahead and just dump it in. We're also gonna take, that I kept in the same bowl, the ginger, and we're gonna dump that in as well. Okay, I'm just throw a little more trash in there for good measure. Now we do use this in Jamaica. We use this. We put it on the stove with ginger. We just chop ginger up, and we put brown sugar, and we just stir and stir and stir, and that's another dessert that we have as well. Delicious.
That's amazing. What's that called?
Drops.
Drops.
Coconut drops. It's
Wow.
called coconut drops.
That sounds delicious.
I've
Just
seen that in the Jamaican store.
Huh?
On the Golden Crust, I think I've seen that.
Yeah, coconut drops. You could use this one, or you could just chop up the coconut and then add again the ginger and just keep stirring and stirring. And what we say in Jamaica, right? We have a saying we say, turn your hand and make fashion. You ever hear that yet? Turn your hand and make fashion. It basically means just take your hands and create something. Okay? Yeah. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put another wet ingredient, which is the vanilla. And this calls for 2 tablespoons of vanilla. So vanilla extract is really great as well. We're gonna throw that in. So now with all the wet ingredients, we're gonna mix that up just a little bit before we get our dry ingredients in. Okay, so this is the consistency at this stage. Now let's do our dry ingredients. All our wet ingredients are good. We're gonna do our dry ingredients next. So I do sort of like a basic sifting, and I do that just because sometimes when you buy the flour in the supermarket, everything is sort of like, it's been sitting there. So you wanna make sure everything is open up. So I dump my flour. The only thing I don't add that's dry is my sugar. I put that in at the end. I put my cornmeal. I am gonna add something that is not on the recipe, some baking powder, and that's just a teaspoon. I'm gonna add
Why
my
does
salt.
that help, Deborah? Why are you doing that?
Just to sort of fluff it just a little bit, give it a little fluff. It's optional. I don't always do it. I do it sometimes. And then now I'm going to add my nutmeg and my cinnamon. Okay, so these are all my dry ingredients. I'm just gonna sift. That takes a couple of minutes or so.
I had some confusion. The recipe says a teaspoon of cinnamon powder and then a tablespoon of cinnamon.
Oh, that's a mistake. So only, you can use a teaspoon. Do you love cinnamon? Cinnamon is great. You can do a teaspoon or a tablespoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's an error. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I saw that. Mm.
Yeah.
Do you add any salt? Just
Yeah.
a little bit of salt?
Yeah, a little salt. Yeah. All right. So this is what we've got. Okay. And I just dump whatever excess stuff I've got there. Right?
So we've actually been speaking in the last two classes about the health benefits of cinnamon. So the idea of putting a little more cinnamon in any recipe, it's always going to be amazing for your body. It's just sort of a matter of taste, whether you put more or less, right, Deborah?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, because it lowers blood sugar. It also lowers the harmful LDL. I don't like to say bad, the harmful LDL. And so that's really good. It's great for the heart, cardiovascular system. So cinnamon tea is also great. My mother-in-law, she always boils cinnamon. She'll just get too sick of cinnamon and she's like, want me some cinnamon tea? And it's just cinnamon with hot water. So now we have our dry ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and start to fold that in. Okay. So I'm going to do half and then the other half. So you just fold and cut, fold and cut. And then I'll show you the consistency that we're looking for.
Mm. I put the cinnamon in, some cinnamon in my smoothies in the morning.
Smoothie, what kind of smoothie is that?
Oh no, not a cinnamon smoothie. I use kale and some fruit, but I sprinkled some cinnamon in it.
Oh, nice. I'm sure it kind of ramps up the flavor just a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm. And then I put a little ginger.
Ooh, ginger. I just had a apple carrot ginger beet juice, and the ginger.
That sounds so good.
It's very good. I have several bottles of them in the refrigerator right now. We just make them in the juicer and then drink them as we go. All right.
Denise, I'm sorry, I'm going to mute people, but please unmute yourself because I hear a little background noise. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's Jeopardy. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. But please unmute yourself if you want to continue.
So we put all the dry ingredients. The last one is our sugar. We just put that in at the end. And again, this is my coconut sugar. And I just fold that in at the end and that's it.
Is this also called sweet potato pone?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, it is. Oh.
Who told you about that word, pone?
Well, I am West Indian from Trinidad, so.
Oh, so you were all about it. My brother, he's always, he lives in Indonesia. And every now and then when I make this, I will say to him, brother, his name is Wayne. I'm like, Wayne, guess what I made? And he's like, pone, because it's always pone. Everybody, it's like the thing. So he calls it pone, and some of us call it pone. So this is the consistency, guys. Okay? That's what you're looking for. Okay? Now, we're pretty much done. I'm going to show you the final step. And then I'm going to do my Rachel Ray thing. And pull a rabbit out of a hat.
You're better than Rachel Ray. You're the Bronx version.
You guys stop. So I have my bacon. I have my bacon pan. And I'll be honest, I'm in love with these. These are amazing. So, you know, you've got this, what you call it, just take it out and everything looks beautiful. And I also got, you know, the parchment paper perfectly cut for this, right? So try to save yourself time if you can in some ways. Now I have vegan butter here, guys. This vegan butter is made from olive oil. So this is the one that I personally use, and I'll just show it to you just if you're interested. Earth Balance. Again, it's 100% vegan, and I'm just basically going to grease the sides of my pan, right? So I'm just gonna put some butter on the edges, okay? And now we're going to wrap it up, and I will show you how to make the vegan ice cream and serve it with my pudding that's already been baked. All right. So let's get this in our pan.
Emma is asking where she can find that butter.
I'm seeing it at a lot of supermarkets. I buy it at Whole Foods. I see it in did I see it in Food Emporium? I'm not sure if I saw it in Food Emporium.
Trader Joe's.
Yeah, I've been seeing it a lot. I don't know that it's that hard to find. It's funny when you don't pay attention to something and you start looking, you'll end up seeing it. So now that you know the name, you might end up seeing it at your regular supermarket.
And Giselle is saying that Target has it also.
Yeah, it's become really popular, especially because, you know, everybody's going vegan.
I will say Earth Balance tastes really close to like regular, it tastes really good.
It sure
Regular butter.
There's an old Jamaican thing that we used to do back in islands. We just get crackers and butter. We just sit there and eat crackers and butter, and it's not good for you. I don't recommend it, but I've done it without butter. All right, so we're done, guys. This is really the pudding right here. Then you throw it in your oven. You bake it for approximately, actually I'm missing one last step. So what I do again, my trash, remember my coconut trash that I love so much because I love coconut? You go ahead and you just put a bit of that on top. Okay, I'm gonna show
So
you.
Deborah, could you do that with dried coconut flakes if you didn't have the real?
It'd have to be the small, really small ones, you know? And it's because it's already dry. When you further bake it, it's just gonna turn into crisp. See, this is, yeah, no waste, right, Mariama? This has a little bit of juice still left in it. So it's not going to be too crispy on the top. If you already have the crispy coconut chips, it might not translate so good, right? All right, so let me show you before it goes in the oven.
For the coconut, can you toast the trash, and can you use it in place of coconut flakes in recipes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course. That's a great idea. I love that. All right, guys, so this is gonna go in my oven, and I'm gonna get the one that was previously baked. So voila.
Wow.
Here we go. This is
Beautiful.
our previously baked sweet potato pudding that will not last. Maybe by noon tomorrow, this will be finished.
Look how you decorate it like a complete professional with the raspberries. And what's the greenery you have on there?
Mint leaves. So
Mint.
mint is something that we usually, most people in Jamaica have a mint tree. And so we usually have mint tea. So you can have this with some mint tea. But what we're gonna have it with is ice cream. But I'm gonna show you really quickly. We have a few minutes. This ice cream takes no time to make, all right? So I'm gonna show you how to do that really quickly.
So this is a bonus recipe, guys. She was surprising even me.
Listen, I'm taking care of you guys. All right, so let me just rinse out. I'll tell you what you need. 4 or 5 different things is all you need to make this, okay? And I'm gonna turn you guys on to something new as well. Because remember, part of my mission is to educate, but also to alleviate, potential health issues, right? So I want to provide great substitutes. That's one of my things. I love to provide substitutes, right? You don't have to go vegan, but you can certainly make some adjustments to your lifestyle to increase your lifespan, all right? And so what we're gonna be doing now to make our nice cream is we're gonna be using a few ingredients. And again, about 4 ingredients, okay? And they're all plant-based. So this is the first one. This is a coconut cream almond milk, okay? And so that, you can find that pretty much most supermarkets, you can find this. I've seen it everywhere. So this is approximately, I'm not sure exactly, I'll give you the recipe after, just watch me make it so you can, I'll give you the recipe after, right? So we're basically gonna dump this in our NutriBullet. And technically you don't even need to blend it. You can just whisk it, but I tend to blend it, and I'll tell you why in a second. So and I'm gonna show you the finished product as well. So you basically wanna go ahead and dump that. Sometimes you can find this in hazelnut flavor, but I tend to just get whichever one's there. This is unsweetened, okay? So I got the unsweetened one on purpose because I'm gonna be using coconut condensed milk sweetened, okay? This is hard to come by, and I get it at Whole Foods, and so whenever I see them, I buy 3. Because my husband, my son, they love ice cream. But in particular, they like Grape-Nut Ice Cream, okay? And Grape-Nut Ice Cream is a traditional Jamaican ice cream that Jamaicans, there's a competition between Grape-Nut and rum and raisin, okay? I love Grape-Nut. So we're gonna actually make that. So now you have your coconut condensed milk, great? No dairy here. This is all dairy-free. I'm not gonna even start on the dairy story because you guys will be here all night listening to me about dairy. All right, so we're gonna dump that in, okay? And we blend this only because of the consistency of the coconut milk. I mean, the coconut milk. The sweetened coconut milk, which is what this is. Then we're gonna put some vanilla in it, right? Because it's gonna be sort of a vanilla flavor. And with that, I'm going to use it's 2 tablespoons of vanilla. Okay, dump that in. Again, more vanilla, which is excellent. And this doesn't go in at this point. So those are your 3 ingredients. You're gonna blend it for like a second. I'm not gonna mute because it's quick. That's it. Okay. Now you're going to get your fun bowl. So these are the serving size that I allow of this ice cream because it tastes just like regular ice cream. No joke. All right, now you have your grape nut. And what I like to do, I put a little grape nut at the bottom and grape nut on the top, okay? So I put a little grape nut at the bottom. And that's your ice cream. You basically just pour this on. Pour that on. I'm gonna leave a little bit in here just because I ran out of bowls for now. Okay. And then I put a little bit more grape nut on top for good measure, okay? You put it in the freezer for about 5 hours and it's good to go. Overnight is probably better, which is what I did. So I made this last night. Let me grab one to show you. Okay, so those are in my freezer. Let's just clean up this a little bit here. Now we'll show you the final display here. And we're just
Let me just ask also, Patricia, if yours are done, please show us if you don't mind.
So this is our ice cream. You can see it's a little frozen, so I would let it sit for a few minutes. But this is the ice cream. Basically, that's all the grape nut on top. So this would sit for a few minutes and then it becomes a little bit more soft, which is lovely. And so we're gonna serve that with a slice of cone. Okay.
Of Jamaican pudding, absolutely beautiful. Patricia, how are your how's your sweet potato pudding?
It looked great going in, but it's in the oven.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay, you'll send us a picture though, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Wow, that ice cream literally took 4
Yeah.
minutes to make. So that's incredible, Deborah. Thank you for sharing that as
Oh,
well.
of course, my pleasure.
And I will send all of you beautiful people that recipe as well. Deborah is always full of surprises and surprised me with that tonight.
Can you use fruit? in it?
And what? The
ice cream. Mm-hmm.
It really depends. You know my rule. There's no rule in cooking. You can do whatever you like. It's just a matter of what flavor you're looking to have, right? Because this is a vanilla and cream, I'm not sure what fruit were you thinking of?
Mango. I know years ago, I don't know if they have it now because I'm lactose intolerant, but Haagen-Dazs had a delicious mango ice cream that was to die for. And I can't eat that right now. So, and that looks really, really good. And I'm wondering if I was to add like some mango pulp or something to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's mango season, and right now you can get some good Haitian mangoes that have like that strong flavor. I found them over in the supermarket, the C-Town. I think they were 2 for $4 or something like that, and they're big. So a mango like that with strong flavors, I think would be really nice. But guys, have a look.
Look at that. Beautiful.
Don't you just wish you were at my house right now?
Yes, I do, and everybody's nodding.
My husband was like, hurry up and finish your show so we can eat the pudding.
Wow, thank you so much, Deborah. That is beautiful, really so beautiful. And I know we're all really inspired by you. So you see that you can eat your vegetables in your dessert as well. And as Deborah shared earlier, we know that eating fruits and vegetables are the best medicine of all, and that eating healthy, real food instead of processed food strengthens our bodies, our immune systems, and our moods. Diet is critical to preventing and even reversing many chronic diseases, including heart disease and diabetes. So let's keep learning how to make better food choices together. Let's do this for yourself, your family, and the planet. It's not out of reach, and we can do it together in community. And as Deborah said, you can make some substitutes to increase your lifespan. I love that line, right? You don't have to do anything so radical, you know, step by step, you can substitute one thing for another, and it really can make a difference. So thank you again for joining us tonight. Please stick around for the chat with Giselle, which will be starting right away after we say goodbye. And if you choose not to stay, we hope to see you again. We'll have another series in July. Thank you, Deborah, again for sharing all of your wisdom with us. Eat real food, stay healthy, and we'll see you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for being here. All right, so I'm gonna go eat this pudding, and I'll see you all later.
Thanks, Deborah. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Deborah.
Pleasure.
I've been